infiltration, as well as helping with general stability in your building structure, call us at 713-936-3021 or visit us online at nrgfoam.com for more information. NRG Spray Foam. Building green, living green.
This message was from a proud sponsor to KNLY 91.1 FM.
We are broadcasting live from the Woodlands, Texas to the world. You're listening to the only multimedia FM station in Houston, Texas. Your Fusion Radio. Top 40s, dance, Latin, country, pop, rock and roll. All in one station. Mixing genres and generations. You're listening to KNLY New Waverly, Texas. 91.1 FM, The Boss.
The program presented or submitted by members of our community and are a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM. The views expressed do not necessarily reflect those of KNLY 91.1 FM and its affiliates.
Hey, good morning, good folks of Houston. I'm Christopher Burns with Today's Entrepreneur. I got a very special guest for me from Estee Accountant LLC. It is Lennon Estee. He's the guy to see if you need business, personal, nonprofit, and you can even have them in the virtual format. Is that correct, Mr. Estee?
Yep, that's right. So my CPA firm offers tax and virtual CFO services for small businesses, the nonprofits, as well as individuals.
Okay, so man, it sounds like you got everyone covered. But I gotta ask you this here. So when you were a little wee lad, was that your dream to grow up and help people save money and grow their money? Or did you find that a little later in life?
I mean, there was some things I wanted to do in that way, but when I grew up, I wanted to be a congressman. I wanted to be a preacher. I wanted to be this. I wanted to be that. Yeah. But eventually, I decided, I wanted to go the CPA route, and I probably started, being solidified. I would say, maybe my junior year of high school.
Junior year of high school. So that's a long time of work, and let me guess, that's probably about 5-6 years of schooling, and then a lifetime of study, keeping up with the new laws. Speaking of which, we just changed our accounting code last year, didn't we? Yeah.
So under President Trump and the Republican-controlled Congress, there was a lot of big changes that came around with with tax reform.
Yeah. So I believe a lot of people have a lot of questions probably about with what they can write off now, because that was one of the main issues that changed. If I'm correct on that.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. So one of the big changes that occurred was when you have people who work from home as an employee. Under the old law, you could write that off, but now under current law, you couldn't. So that was kind of a big drawback. In addition, for those who itemize their deductions, like here in Texas, the property tax bill is pretty large, but that's now capped to $10,000.
Okay.
Whereas it was, pretty much all that you spent on it.
Okay, so it just gives you. Does that give you more work to do or less work to do?
For those two things specifically, it's probably a good bit less because you just can't get to that threshold anymore for deductions. But there's lots of other parts to tax reform that did give me a lot more work.
So what are some of those parts?
All right, so there one big thing for business owners is what we call the qualified business income deduction. So the general rule is if you have a business, and it's reported either like on a partnership, an S corporation, or right there on your personal return, it qualifies for a 20% deduction of what your qualified business income is. So essentially, you're only paying tax on 80% of that business income.
Okay, so if I remember correct, in some of the bigger corporations, they essentially got taxed twice. But now is that reduced with the Trump tax plan, or was that how did that change?
Okay, so you're talking about what we call C corporations in the tax world. So C corporations, they pay tax under the old law. It was up to 35%. Okay. Now it's at 21%. And so the corporations pay the tax, and then anything that they distribute out to the shareholders is then taxed at capital gains rates, which could be up to 20%.
Man, that sounds like a lot to deal with, a lot confusing, and so that's why we need someone like you to make sense of it all. So my next question will be, if I'm a new business owner starting off, where do I start? Do I stay as a sole proprietor? Do I try to make an LLC? Do I go with an X corporation? What's the best advantage for me as a new entrepreneur?
Well, I would say the first thing to be done is form an LLC.
Yeah.
I can't do that as a CPA, but there are lots of attorneys around the area who can do that for you. But then you would need to talk with your CPA to figure out what would be the best tax structure for you. Because if you just form an LLC and you own it 100%, it can be reported all in your 1040. But there are other options for you depending on what's your end goal. How much money do you expect to make, stuff like that.
What are some of those other options then?
So another option is what we call an S corporation.
Yeah.
So as opposed to a C corporation, the S corporation itself does not pay tax, but all the business profit is then reported on your 1040, and then you as an individual pay the tax.
So something I find interesting about an accountant is that you can also you can also report kind of virtual not what I'm trying to get here is goodwill. How do you count? How does goodwill get a monetary value onto it, and how do you incorporate that in taxes, especially when you're trying to sell your corporation?
Okay, so for goodwill, if you're buying a business, and let's say the assets itself are worth X amount, but you're paying more than X amount.
Yes.
Because there's good customers, there's a good name brand to it. Mm-hmm. That extra that you're paying for it is that goodwill, or any other intangible that we can call under tax law.
What are some of the other intangible that falls under tax law for you?
Pretty much anything can be an intangible. So customers, the trademarks that you have. Your workforce in place.
Yes.
So if you've got really good employees that work hard and you want to keep them around, then that can be considered an intangible and part of that business value.
Okay. So how important is it to have a CPA on call 24/7 compared to just trying to meet them once a year for April?
Well, hopefully it's not 24/7, but when you're trying to do it yourself, a lot of people don't like tax. They don't like accounting.
Yeah.
That was probably their least favorite classes. If they went to college or took some course outside of high school. But they're good at whatever product they sell, whatever service they provide. That's what they're good at. And so they need to have someone who knows the laws, who can do the work. You can get that burden taken off of them so that they can focus on their business and spend more time with their family.
So they can put all their effort where they know what their passion is, what
Exactly.
their product is.
Exactly.
And so now you told me you really kind of got interested in accounting in high school, but where did that passion kind of really started?
I would say it probably started probably in the high school area, because I know there was a lot of people who, they had trouble with their money.
Yeah.
They didn't really know what to do with it, and so I know there was different paths to go for that.
Yeah.
But the CPA route was the one I chose because everybody's affected with taxes.
Yeah.
The two certainties in life are death and taxes. So at least I can help with the taxes part. Hopefully not the death part.
No, that's someone else you gotta see, I suppose.
Exactly. That's not my cup of tea.
So you got any advice for a young high school, because they actually do have accounting in high school now. I found out, and so you got any advice for high school trying to go? Should he work as a bookkeeper for a little while, or should he just go straight into college and try hammer out that bachelor's in accounting and then go for the master's and get the CPA?
Well, I would say if they do offer the accounting in high school, which is I think is great.
Yeah.
Figure out if that's something that you really enjoy doing, Because if you don't enjoy doing it, then find something else. But if you do wind up enjoying it, maybe talk to a bookkeeper, talk to a CPA, see what options are out there for that accounting, because taxes is not the only thing that CPA can do.
Yeah.
There's also CPAs that focus strictly on financial audits, which is making sure that financial statements are presented fairly. So if you're a publicly traded company, you got to, your shareholders want to make sure that your financials are right.
Yeah,
so there's auditors make
definitely want a CPA look at it before my mind
the
just-
shareholders.
I was about to say FCC, but yeah, before the government takes a look at that. For
Exactly.
Sure. Hopefully what was it? Saldane Oxy. We got that because of a company we're not looking at the books. Unfortunately, a company in Houston, and so. How did Saldane-Oxy change the field of accounting?
So Sarbanes-Oxley, it separated a few things out. They created what's called the Public Company Oversight Accounting Board. No, sorry. PCAOB is the acronym. And so they established that new board to make sure that those accounting firms who are performing audits are doing it according to the guidelines that are out there. Yeah. They also made it to where if a firm does both the audit and the tax work, that they have to get approval to say that there's no issues with independence.
So more work for you and less chances of mistake, hopefully?
You would hope, because whenever you have a financial audit, there's certain risks that are in there. And they try to mitigate it, but you can't get rid of it 100%. So they try to say material misstatements is what we say in the accounting world.
Okay. Now, something we talked about when we first started off, you had an electronic program, so you're not just, that's what I was kind of meaning 24/7. What's the software you use to help out businesses?
So the accounting program that I use is called Xero, which is spelled Xero. Another popular one is called QuickBooks Online. I grew up on the QuickBooks desktop version, and then they migrated to online. But my preference is Xero. There's lots of other options out there depending on what your business needs are.
Okay. But you are the CPA on call is what I was getting at. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah. So if there is an emergency, you can reach out to me, and I can see what I can do to help.
Give me an example of an emergency, if without, I guess, give me as much detail as you can.
So what would qualify as an emergency? Let's say you had a notice from the IRS.
Okay.
And it just slipped your mind, and then you have to respond within so many days. And then I can.
It got like at the bottom of the stack of mail.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then you go to your mail room, and then I probably should have looked at this 3 months ago.
Yeah, exactly. So I've definitely worked with lots of clients on their IRS notices, and really the IRS isn't as scary as you expect. Really, as long as you're trying to work with them, they'll work with you.
Okay, so communication is key.
Exactly.
Speaking of communication, where can we find you if we need to get a hold of you?
Okay, so my address is at 8350 Ash Lane Way. I'm in suite number 103, and that's located near Woodlands Parkway and Branch Crossing.
Okay.
So if people know where the Woodlands High 9th grade campus is, I'm just right by there.
All right. Well, it was just great to have you on. And what's a good phone number for you they can get you at?
Okay. So my office number is 832-246-8813. They can also email me at Landon, LANDON, at Estay, ESTAYLLC.com.
So it was so awesome to have you on air. Landon, I do want to give you something before you go. This is a kind of a certificate of recognition, just an award for you.
All right.
Let me just show the camera real quick. It's just so how we can honor entrepreneurs, and you I believe you have done a lot of community work in the community, correct?
Right.
Helping out with other radiothons. So thank you, Mr. Landon.
Thank you very much.
And this is today's entrepreneur. We'll see you next time on Today. Have a great day, Houston.